So last night after watching the Squadathon, and I was recommended a video, so I clicked it because I saw the title of it. So I started watching it and I was like, oh shit, and it's not recent. It's the title of it says, could we ever accept Camilla as our queen? So I was like, okay, let me watch it. And then while I was watching it, I scrolled down to see when it was when the video was made, and it was on August 14, 2017. I was like, oh, they were having that conversation back then, because I told you guys I was not deep into royal kind of crap kind of thing. All right, so I went and watched it, and I was pretty impressed with some of the things that were said. Yeah, so one of the things that I saw that the ladies were talking about was the fact that none of them really forgave Charles and Camilla of their affair. So people were still upset back then and still now, what, 3 years later? And also, what's really funny is how they were talking positively about the crown. Someone mentioned something about the crown. I'll find the clip and put everything that I raise, every it's almost like a review of the video, but everything that I raise, I'm going to show certain clips in it. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be flagged, because lately anything that has to do with the royal, I get flagged very easily. And before, I used to dispute them. Sometimes they let it go, but lately everything is no, no, no. But I'm gonna share it anyway. Yeah, so they were in full agreement with the crown, the show, that is. All right, remember this was in 2017.
You only have to look at the coronation, and if you look at the series The Crown, you see how we don't know, but we feel that she took on this vow as a sacred vow, and she will not give that throne up until, as you say, she draws her last
and sticking
breath.
to the tradition as well.
What worries me.
The funny thing is when they ask the audience about if they think Camilla should be queen, majority of them said no. And she was like, oh, there's no reason to go online then, because I think there were like maybe 2 people who were okay with it. And yeah, so people still not in favor of Camilla being queen, you know.
So there's been a lot of boos today every time I mention Camilla, and during the break there we did a show of hands asking who would like to see Camilla be queen or not be queen. Who thinks absolutely no, she should not be queen, Camilla? Show of hands there, folks. Oh, interesting. Looks about everybody. There must be someone. Is there anyone thinks Camilla should be? 1 lady. Two ladies. Is that it? Yes? Oh, well, there you go. There's no need for an online poll, is there? Wow, that's a pretty good indication.
So apparently the reason that they were doing that poll, that conversation came up, is that, I don't know, the queen was thinking of hand over I guess the crown to Charles, and so they were sort of asking some questions to see which way the audience will go.
We're talking about this today because there have been reports over the weekend that the Queen is considering a plan which would enable her to hand over power to Prince Charles during her lifetime.
What is it? She said something about the Regency Act. I'll look it up because I don't know what that is.
We're talking about this today because there have been reports over the weekend that the Queen is considering a plan which would enable her to hand over power to Prince Charles during her lifetime by invoking something called the Regency Act. This would make him king in all but name, and of course wife Camilla would be by his side. It's a very interesting one.
So yeah, so she wanted to hand over the crown to Prince Charles during her lifetime. That's what it says. So as we can see, we're in 2020. I don't think that woman is going anywhere. So apparently they did an online vote, and she was like 86% of people said no, they didn't want Camilla to be queen.
We have been running an online poll as well, just to let you know. Would you like to see Camilla as queen? So far we've had over, I think it's 23,000 votes, loads of you getting in touch. 86% saying no. 86%. which is a huge, huge number.
I'm surprised it was that stark in here.
Like Camilla.
That you've only got, you know, two people who've said yes. You know, I would maybe 60-40, but that's, you know, quite strong, and they're quite vocal in here as well.
Wow, and that matches with the audience too, it seems like, because they asked the audience, and majority of the audience says they don't want her to be queen. So the core issue with Charles and Camilla is the fact, is the basic principle. Both of them were married. That's the thing. Both of them were married, and then they were doing those nasty stuff behind their married spouses. You know, Charles was doing, you know, was married to Camilla. Charles was married to Princess Diana, and he was doing all this nonsense with Camilla. And Camilla was married too, and she was doing all of this. So pretty much, it's almost the same repetition. Some of the things I'm repeating. Charles and Diana should have never married. Should have never married. Maybe it was meant to be, to have those kids, especially Harry, to come and to pretty much shed light into the institution. Diana started it, okay, and probably Harry continued shedding light to the institution. Maybe it was meant to be, but it's so unfortunate. Diana had to sacrifice herself for that to happen. Okay, if you look at history, way, you know, slavery and all of this, you see, they're the one who started all of that. But everything must come to an end. Nothing lasts forever. Maybe that was the beginning of the end for what is meant to be, you know. There's a video that I did, how did I call it? It was about a black German lady during Hitler time, and I was, you know, I made a review about it. Once I saw the video, I was surprised, especially during Hitler time, for a black woman to be in there, living there, and she had nothing negative to say about Germany, you know. And I think there was another video, I don't know if it was in the same video or I created a different video about that, where I show a comparison, a parallel between the UK and the US, and how they treat some of their citizens, black African citizens, in comparison to Germany. And I sort of flipped it around slightly. Maybe what we see, it may not be what it actually is. And then in one video, it could have been that same video or something else, or another video that I made, where I explain with anti-Semitism. It never started with the German, okay? It started in England, because the king, I forgot which king, it's in one of my videos. I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't want to go search for that. In one of my videos, it's one of the kings during that time, way before Hitler, who probably wasn't even born, because they're spending money, and then they're borrowing money from the Jews, and the Jews know how to manage their money. So to not paying them back, they create that negative spin about the Jews, in which you have the persecution of Jews. And then pretty much Hitler copied that same tactic of what we saw in history, of what Hitler did to the Jews. So Hitler wasn't the first one who started it, okay? So I sort of went off with this now. Let me go back to the video and continue monitoring it, okay? It was very interesting. They raised the question why they will never accept Camilla. And another one says, you know, the other woman is never accepted. You know, they always want the original, which is Diana. And again, it goes back to the fact that both of them were married, and they were doing their unethical and moral kind of behavior while they were still married to their spouses, you know?
Why? What is it? Why can't we seem to accept
Oh,
Camilla?
because the other woman is never accepted.
And one point that one of the ladies brought up is the fact that whenever there's that kind of cheating going on in a relationship, most women go after the other woman. But the thing that she raised also is that, how come we never go after the men? Because the man knew he was married too. So why are we not going after them?
Especially with women. It's like whenever... It's amazing, actually, that when a man has an affair, most women hate the other woman more than the man. Like they'll go, yeah, but she led him on. She knew he was married. And I always go, but he knew he was married as well. You know, so I think it's harsh.
But now that we are in 2020, a lot of people are blaming Charles too. Okay, look at what's happening with the Netflix kind of thing. You know, people, their anger toward his behavior during his marriage to Diana has sparked it again. I mean, I don't think anybody forget about that. All right, but she did raise a very important point, especially outside of royalty kind of thing. What she's saying, I do see it, but with the royalty and the monarch, I think all bets are off. Nobody, I mean, I will not say nobody, but majority of the people don't like both of them, especially with now Generation Z is in the mix. Oh my God, those Generation Z are crazy. They're going at it, and they didn't know. Majority of them didn't know. They heard story here and there, and this is why I always say it doesn't take too long to ruin a generation. Okay, 10 years is good enough to ruin a generation, but that's not to say Generation Z was ruined. It's just that the information wasn't sparked up, or wasn't I mean, it wasn't the internet and everything like that, but they were not at the age where all of this stuff was going on. But due to the Netflix and many other things, it sparked up the conversation again, and the Generation Z just took it further. Pretty much, they're like, nah, this is some nasty shit. We're not putting up with this, and they went off on it. Especially on TikTok, some of the stuff I be sharing with you. I'm not on TikTok, but it's whatever squad are sharing on Twitter. Sometimes I share it with you guys. But yeah, let me listen to what they say again. There were 4 panelists there, and one of them brought up an interesting question. Like, if we forgive Charles, why can't we forgive Camilla? I don't think the majority of the people forgive Charles for that.
Why can't we forgive Camilla? Well, clearly we do forgive Charles.
Yeah.
Is it to do with the love of the...
Oh, we don't forgive Charles either.
No.
So
And she also said that it seems like usually it's a victim of someone who have gone to a bad relationship, who were betrayed or something like that. That's not her exact word, but who were betrayed, and most likely against Camilla and stuff like that.
I also bet a lot of people who really feel very, very anti-Camilla being queen have probably divorced themselves and have been through the real murky mire of divorce and, breaking up people's marriages or being the victim of a breakup yourself. So...
What is it? They can't forgive Camilla? Yeah, like they forgive Charles, but not Camilla. I doubt that. Yeah, she sort of bring that into perspective, as if the women who are forgiving Charles are not forgiving to Camilla. There's a possibility is because they have gone through a messed up relationship and they were the victim of it. So I doubt that, because with me and my position, it's both of them. I blame both of them. I don't know who else feel that the same way or the way she feels, but I think majority of the people blame both of them because both of them were in a relationship. That's the thing. I forgot. The audience disagree with her. I was like, huh. So the audience also said, nah, they don't forgive Charles too. Yeah.
So it's an absolute mutual thing for them as a couple, as opposed to just the
They're
individuals.
unacceptable.
And it's not just about the love that everybody had for Diana. That is not just solely that. It is them as a couple.
I think the queen is gonna stay there until she can no longer again, or probably when she die, because once Charles come in, that's the end of it. Yeah, she's probably gonna enjoy that seat because she knows once she gave it to Charles, her privileges will be ended because there will be outcry. So pretty much they blame both Camilla and Charles. And then the next question that was raised was, should they skip Charles and go straight to William?
Answer then, folks. Do we want to see William and Kate just go straight to them? Is that the general...
Personally, I don't think they should. Okay, the order was set, so it should be go according to what was available. Then maybe I don't know. So I think they should follow the order. And the other point that someone brought up, which is very good, is the fact that when the queen took her position, her role as the queen, is the fact that she was a young family, a young parent, and then she needed, time to raise her kids. So if William were to do that, it would be almost the same thing, where he's raising a very young family. So let him enjoy raising the kids.
No, I don't
do
like
that to
it,
them.
Christine. I don't
He
like
doesn't
it.
like this.
First of all, I want the queen to be queen till she takes her last breath. Okay, because
And I think that's how she feels
Yeah,
too.
I hope
Because
so.
when you only have to look at the coronation, and if you look at the series The Crown, you see how we don't know, but we feel that she took on this vow as a sacred vow, and she will not give that throne up until, as you say, she draws her last
And sticking
breath.
to tradition as well.
what
the
for
British
me?
public.
Yes and yes for me.
Yeah,
It's
you're
not a
you're
dilemma for
bothered.
me.
No,
So
you're
what do you
not
want?
No,
What do you
because I feel like Charles has waited his whole life to be king. And I think it would be sad, I mean, even if he's getting on, isn't he? 70. And people are like, oh, well, he'd be too old now, it should pass straight to him. I don't care if he's only king for 2 or 3 years. I just think he deserves that moment. He's been brought up in it, he's trained for it, and I think he deserves
I just wouldn't want it to be
it's
William and
tradition.
Kate because of they've got a young family. I want them to enjoy their young family together, and I would hate it if they had all that pressure on themselves to do all that, because you looked at the pressure that she was under and she took on at 25 years old and with a young family, and you think, my God, she did actually take that on board. And I think that's why she's got such a strong sense of duty. And I'm exactly the same as you. I hope till her last breath she's there.
Yeah, but it's...
And we know what some of the rumors that's going on with Rose and stuff like that. So she felt like, nah, let William be, let him, raise his family, and don't rush him into that position. And with what we are seeing right now, I think there's so much training that William needs to go through, because the brain is a bit empty up there for that kind of a position. This is someone who's gonna be in control of the military, okay? The role of the queen right now is in charge of the military. So for someone to have this really nothing up there to take that huge responsibility, which means anyone who's around him will fill his head with nonsense. Okay, so I think he needs more training. Shit, they brought up the question, once the queen is done, do they want to put up with Charles and Camilla, or do they want the monarchy at all? So this has been questioned, okay? Has been in question quite some time.
What worries me is that, God forbid, but at some point it's going to happen. And then I think we will be faced with, do we want a monarchy at all, or do we put up with Charles and Camilla? And I think that's going to be a very, very big dilemma.
So there's a possibility they're near the end. They are near the end. So that's a huge problem here, for the monarchy, that is. So they want the queen to stay until she dies, pretty much. And some of them, they brought some very important topic here, is that Charles have waited his entire life for this moment. So it should be in the realm where he has to take that position if time comes, something like that. Don't skip him to go to the son and stuff like that. Only if they knew how to work together instead of trying to get spotlight and putting each other down. They would have been okay. And the other thing is, we've discussed this so many times, is they don't want to change. Everything around them is modernizing and it's improving. You look at many other worlds around the world, I don't follow much of them, but whenever I see a picture of them, you see them in modern clothes, stylish and stuff like that, not a freaking drip kind of clothes. And they don't want to change, and they don't want to listen to Harry, who's telling them, things needs to change. I wasn't in the room when he was saying it, but it's pretty much that. And one of the panelists, which I mentioned on one of my videos earlier, I think video number 2, where one of the panelists said her daughter is not into the royals. The young generation are not into that. I mean, the mystery about them no longer exists, and the cat is out of the bag. So they know all this nonsense that's going on, the immoral kind of behavior. There's no mystery, and you could go in any place and you could walk right next to them or something like that. So the younger generation don't really care about them.
It's funny, you know, because my 16-year-old daughter, she's really into, well, she's not really into it, but she's got into watching the Tudors and all the documentaries about kings and queens from years ago. And she said to me the other day, I've no interest in our royal family. And I said, why? And she said, because I just feel like in those days there was a real mystery about them, and they were massively in power. They did rule the land, you know. And she said, now I feel like I could just go into a supermarket and probably bump into one of our royal family.
You could. That's what I've made
no
it, isn't it?
mystery about them anymore, you know.
So that mystery is no longer exists to the people. They just want to move on and have a better life. She didn't say that, but that's what I'm adding to it. So they brought up Princess Diana into the mix. They're saying that, you know, the charisma that Diana had no longer, since Diana was in the royal family, nobody have any interest for the royals. So Diana brought some interest to the royal family, but she's not there anymore. And since she left and then passed, nobody cares about the royals, which is pretty much, that's what everybody's saying everywhere you go.
There was an enormous charisma about Diana, and sadly we've lost her. And I think as we've lost her, we've lost a lot of that magic.
And lastly, the thing that they brought up is the sexism and the hierarchy of things. And it was very interesting the way she answered it. What did she put it? Yeah, the question was, if they have a queen, why her husband cannot be king. So the hierarchy of things is that king is the top one. Okay, so you can't have both a king and a queen, which is presently what's going on with Queen Elizabeth, because the husband married into the family, so he cannot become king. Okay, which will put the queen position at a lower level, you know. So therefore, they can only have one of the other. You know?
She was open, wasn't she?
Can I ask, excuse my ignorance, so if Charles became king, Camilla would become queen.
Yeah.
So why if we had a queen, does her husband not become king?
Because in the history of things, the king is the most important position and the queen is second to that. So you can't have somebody who is there as queen and just some bloke marries her and becomes king, which would then be more important than her. You can't have that, and that's the old sexism of the way it's always worked.
Thank goodness Anne's here.
There you go.
The way the lady explained it is very interesting and well put. So, and listen to it, and that's pretty much it. I'll leave the link in the description and you guys could check that video out. It was very interesting. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.